Hey guys, just wanted to show you something absolutely busted I've discovered. It's probably the highest DPS for bosses in the game, and at the moment my gear isn't even refined in any way for this, just a few changes. This is probably going to get nerfed soon, but I wanted to show you before then. So in just about 10 seconds, her health is at half and she's phased. I went on to test with party scaling to see how high we could get that poison dot to tick, and it does hit 6 million in this, which is insane. I do want to say that this build isn't really nightmare viable. However, messing around with all the poison did make me want to make a nightmare version of this build. So if you'd like to see that, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. So as I mentioned earlier, this isn't 100% optimized, so gear rolls aren't the best and the stats aren't the best, but we'll go over what I'm using to get this damage. So for our jewelry, on one ring we have lucky hit chance, crit strike damage, crit chance, and vuln damage. And of course the aspect that's responsible for all this damage is aspect of bursting venoms. It allows us to constantly attack with poison in view and stack up our poison damage. That's what gets us to hit those crazy big numbers and just melt bosses. As for our other ring, we have crit chance, critical damage, vulnerable damage, and resource generation. I would swap out the resource generation for lucky hit chance so we can get those poison pools to drop more often. And for the aspect we have on there is energizing for that energy sustain while we're spamming. As for our amulet, we have dex percent, ranks to deadly venom, passive for more poison damage, and plus ranks to all imbuement skills with conceded for extra damage, while we have barrier, which is pretty much up all the time with temerities. So as for our armor, on the helmet we have ranks to poison imbuement, armor, intelligence, and life with the aspect of might. You can swap out intelligence for dexterity. This is just what I happened to roll and wanted to save materials. For the chest, we're using the same as last build. Go for life, armor, damage reduction, and all stats, or dexterity with the aspect of disobedience. And on gloves, we're using attack speed, ranks of twisted blades, crit chance, and for the fourth roll, you want lucky hit chance. I just don't have them at the moment. And we want the aspect accelerating. For our pants, we're still using temerity for the barrier damage, and the same boots with movement speed, dex, and energy cost reduction with Ravager's aspect. As for our weapons, on our crossbow, we want dexterity, core damage, crit damage, and vuln damage with Blade Dancer's aspect. We want a one-handed sword with dexterity, core damage, crit damage, and vuln damage with a high item power. And we have the aspect of corruption to make our poison damage tick even higher. And we're still going to be using Condemnation as it does scale our poison damage like crazy. You can use another one-handed sword with Edge Masters and the same stats as listed before, but it won't be nearly as strong. So onto our skill tree, we're going to pick up 1 point into Puncture with both small nodes, 5 into Twisted Blades, both small nodes, 1 into Sturdy, 3 into Siphoning Strikes, 3 into Stutter Step, followed by 3 into Weapon Mastery with 1 point in just Dash. We're going to take Poison Trap with both the small nodes, 3 into Exploit, 3 into Malice. Over here, 5 into Poison Imbuement with both small nodes here. Put 3 into Deadly Venom. Going on, we're going to max out Shadow Clone with both the small nodes, 1 into Intervention, 3 into Alchemist Fortune, 3 into Second Wind, 3 into Trap Mastery, 1 into Adrenaline Rush, and 3 into Haste. And of course, we're still going to be using Momentum. So onto our Paragon board, it is mostly the same from our last build. We did replace Combat and Chip with Canny and Tracker. This one is for the poison damage, and of course the poison damaging effects last 33% longer. And then over here for Canny, we deal increased non-physical damage, and then it stacks up to 10% multiplicative for 15 seconds, which is pretty big damage for our poison ticks. And of course, I will have the link to the D4Builds down in the description, so you can look at it closer to make all the adjustments that you need. And that pretty much sums up this build. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what kind of builds you'd like to see in the comments below. I also want to thank you guys on the support I've gotten for the last build guide. It did far better than I could have ever imagined, and I really appreciate it. That's it for now. Have fun, and take care.